From top local lead generation, we're here with Bernie Pawlik of Pawlik Automotive in Vancouver, award-winning shop, 15 times voted best in Vancouver. How are you doing today, Bernie?
Did really well.
So we're going to talk about a Mazda 3. I know you do a lot of work on those in your shop. How are these cars overall?
They're excellent cars. As you said, yeah, we do a lot of work on them. We've serviced them right from when the model first came out. They're one of those type of cars, typical Japanese, really, where you can almost predict everything that's going to go wrong with the car over time. There's certain issue, with check engine lights. You can almost, before hooking a scan tool up, have a pretty good guess as it's going to be one of 2 or 3 items that is going to cause a check engine light to come on. Overall, they're just a very reliable car.
So what was unique about this particular Mazda we're going to talk about today?
Well, this Mazda came in with an complete engine failure, and that's actually the first time we've seen one. Now, I understand, talking to other people, it does happen, and on any car, even the most reliable cars, engine failures happen. But this one was very unique, and is not just the engine failed, but how it happened. So I'll just go over a few pictures here. So this vehicle was towed into the shop, had no compression in the engine, and we did do a quick test, verified that. And the first step is to pull the cylinder head off to see what's going on inside the engine, and figured, maybe the head gasket was blown. But what we found was absolutely totally amazing. If you look at the 2 arrows, this is the top of the engine. The round pieces are the pistons inside the engine cylinders, and the arrows point. The head gasket's still in place, but the head gasket is actually burned and melted in between the cylinders. Cylinder 1 is on the left, cylinder 4 is on the right. So between cylinder 1 and 2. And 3 and 4, the cylinder head gasket is melted. But not only that, we look a little further, this detailed photo here, it's actually melted the engine block between the 2 cylinders. The engine got so hot that it melted the engine block. And finally, this view here, this is the cylinder head. So this is what sits on top. Those round pieces that you're looking at, the smaller round pieces, those are your engine valves. Larger ones are the intakes, the smaller ones are the exhaust valves. And the red arrow points again to a burnt spot across the cylinder head as well. So this engine got extremely hot to the point of actually melting the metal. It's made of aluminum, so aluminum does have a lower melting point than steel or cast iron, but and nonetheless it melted. It got extremely hot.
So wouldn't someone have noticed this while they were driving?
Well, you'd certainly think so, but I spoke with the owner, and she said she was driving down the highway, and it was one of those really wet, stormy, rainy Vancouver nights where there's probably an awful lot of road noise, and it's possible you wouldn't hear anything, but I would think that what you would hear if you're driving this kind of thing, there'd probably be some smoke coming out from the hood, or the temperature gauge would be sitting very high. And there would be like some knocking and rattling noises from the engine, but it's entirely possible that you wouldn't hear anything because the road noise was so high, and any smoke might be dissipated by just the amount of rain blowing around on the road. She said the temperature gauge sat normally. So the only conclusion I can make about that is that the temperature gauge, there's a sensor and it needs to be immersed in liquid. So if the liquid had all disappeared, it might actually be taking readings of just air. And at that point, it may not really read accurately. So it's not very usual for that to happen, but it can happen from time to time. And the sad thing about this is that she just had a service done recently, and the car was in really good shape. So this is one of those things that happens from time to time. Something happens, and after we repaired the engine, we found no external cause of a coolant leak. So somehow it must have leaked somewhere. Maybe the head gasket blew, and it just leaked out really fast. A few other items with these engines I'll just go over. There's when a cylinder head job is needed on a modern vehicle, it's a fairly costly job nowadays, and I'll just show a few pictures of some of the reasons why. This engine has a timing chain. It's a dual overhead cam engine with a timing chain, so this all has to be removed before you take the cylinder head off. Whereas in years past, engines would use push rods, and it was just much simpler. There's a lot of complexity on a modern engine, so it's ideal if you never have to do any engine work, because it certainly keeps a lot more money in your pocket. But this is this is a view of the timing chain cover off and the valve cover off, and this is the timing chain and the 2 camshaft gears, and these have to be removed. And when you put the engine back together, everything has to be set in a very precise order and manner. And this is the top of the cylinder head. This is before everything is removed. the valve cover's off, the timing chain gears you can see, but again, there's camshafts which run those are the round pieces that run the length of the engine. There's two of them. They have to be removed as well to access the cylinder head bolt. So again, there's a lot of complexity to this engine and many other modern engines.
So how did the client actually get the engine fixed? What did you do?
We went for a used engine. There's a couple of different options. There's a rebuilt is typically the best option, but it's far more costly. And the other option is a used engine. Now, the disadvantage with a used engine is it is used. These are pretty reliable engines. I mean, as I said, we rarely ever see a problem with them, so I feel pretty confident recommending a used engine. But the downside is that the warranty on a rebuilt engine can be anywhere from 2 to 3 years, whereas on a used engine it's 3 months. So while you save a fair amount of money on a used engine, it's still there's a bit of a risk.
Okay, so how did it run after everything was installed?
Oh, it was awesome. It fired up and ran really well. But we were in for an interesting surprise after we started it up. And going to our next slide, this is an exhaust hose we attach to the tailpipe of the car so that we don't smoke ourselves out in the shop. And this is what was coming out of the exhaust of the vehicle for quite some time after we started the engine. This is all antifreeze and oil that had been pumped out of the engine when the engine failed, and it basically gets pumped into the exhaust system. So inside the catalytic converter and inside the muffler, there's there could be like half a gallon or more of antifreeze just sitting inside there. And as soon as the engine starts up, it starts smoking. So when you look at it, our first thought is, oh my God, did we get a bad engine? But after driving it for a while, and it actually took about 5 kilometers to maybe 10 kilometers of driving before the smoke disappeared. It's a rather embarrassing drive, but the vehicle ran great and the smoke disappeared. But it just showed a bit of legacy of the old engine.
So basically, all that smoke was deposited, or all it was from the water and antifreeze that was deposited from the old engine failing all along in the exhaust system.
Exactly, that's right, and that happens when you have a major head gasket failure and it pumps coolant into the engine. It's not the first time I've seen that. It's just, as I say, it's a little disconcerting because did everything get done properly, and then it just takes a bit of a drive to burn it all out. So in the end, a happy ending, but it's kind of a surprise for a Mazda 3 because it's not too common of a problem.
Great. So if you need work on your Mazda 3, the guys to go see are Pawlik Automotive in Vancouver. Give them a call, 604-327-7112, or check out their website, award-winning, exceptional care for your car, pawlikautomotive.com. Thanks, Bernie.
Thanks, Mark. Talk to you soon.